Hey, what's up, guys? It's John here, and today we have a special video. Today, VroomVrew is making his first appearance on the channel, and he is playing with the white pieces, and this is truly a legendary game against none other than UJJ Wall 3899. And before I speak too much and hype it up, let's just get into it. So, VroomVrew with the white pieces, he goes D4. Uh, UJJ Wall 3899 replies D5, and Vroom goes C4. He goes for the Queen's Gambit. UJJ captures, and Vroom goes E3. Just getting ready to recapture this pawn. We got B5. The only way to defend this pawn is to push B5. And VroomVrew plays E2, bishop to E2. And right here, the best move if for black is bishop to b7. But instead, black goes for a6, and white goes knight to f3. In this position, the best move for black is, again, bishop to b7. But instead, we got knight to c6. Knight to c6 is a little weaker. VroomVrew goes a4. And the best move in this position, again, for black is bishop to b7. But instead, we have b4. b4 is an inaccuracy because it allows Vroom to play bishop captures on c4, which he does, the absolute best move. And right here, probably the best move is going to be bishop to b7 again. But instead, black goes for a5. I don't know what UJJ is doing. He pushed b4, but refused to fianchetto his light squared bishop. But we'll see. We'll see. Right here, the best move probably is knight to g5. And if you go knight to g5, you're threatening this pawn. And the only way for black to defend this threat is to play knight to h6. But after knight to h6 and queen to f3, there's now 3 attackers on this pawn and only 1 defender, and there's actually no good way to defend this pawn. So after something like, if you go queen d7, now you play bishop to b5 and this knight falls, while this is a really dangerous position for the queen. And if you play something like queen to d6, then after bishop captures on f7, knight captures and knight captures, you fork the queen and the rook, and you probably win this game. But Vroom missed this knight to g5 move, but it's okay. He played another really strong move. He went d5. And d5 is probably the second best move, definitely winning still. And after d5, UJJ played knight to a7. He brings the knight to a7 without reason, really, because now the knight has to either go to b5 or to c6 to get back in the game, but the pawns are covering it, or it can go to something like c8 to e7, but again, UJJ doesn't like to develop his bishop to b7, so we'll see. Vroom continues e4, and we get knight to f6. Bishop to e3, just continuing development, and knight captures on e4. So this is actually a blunder. No, not a blunder, but an inaccuracy, because he's attacking your pawn, and you're just letting him have it. And I mean, okay, I guess if you have a good purpose for this bishop to e3 move, the pawn sacrifice might be worth it. But after knight captures on e4, Vroom plays bishop captures on a7, and this is actually a really, really weak move. Because this knight, again, isn't doing anything because it can't come back into the game. This bishop, you just developed it for the price of a pawn. If you're going to play one move with the bishop, give up a pawn, and another move with the bishop just to get rid of a weak knight and then mobilize his rook, I mean, that's not a good strategy in the long run. Even better than rook captures on a7, though, is something like knight to d6, because now you've remaneuvered this knight. You stop any future d6 ideas, so this bishop's diagonal is cut off. You're also attacking the bishop, And right here was actually a good chance for black to get back into the game. However, black played rook captures on a7. And VroomVrew continues queen to d4. Queen to d4 is probably the best idea. Bishop to b5 is also okay, but queen to d4 is a good move. And black plays c5. So c5 is not good because you're hanging the knight. Again, you allow bishop to b5, but Vroom just captures the knight, and we see e6. e6, again, is not a good move. Probably better here is, I don't know, even just expanding g5, g6, fianchetto the bishop, and then castle, or even something like bishop to b7, but that is not what black played, and that actually inspires the meme of the video. So we have, ooh, let me just, there we go. We have this great Uno meme right here. Play bishop to b7 or draw 25, UJJ wall 3899. You already know what he's doing. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. He goes e6, and Vroom finally plays bishop to b5 check. Bishop to d7 blocking, and we have bishop to c6. Bishop to c6 is an inaccuracy. It's not losing because white's so far ahead, but like this move doesn't actually accomplish anything, because I guess what you're hoping for is bishop captures on c6 and pawn captures on c6, creating this passed pawn. But this passed pawn is actually kind of weak because only your queen's defending it. He can, I don't know why that keeps happening. He can easily mobilize his pieces to take this pawn, so he'll have two attackers. And if you try something like, I don't know, knight to e5 to defend, then you just let him play bishop to d6, and then that would take away his knight. He would castle, and black would probably be okay. It might be holdable, but yeah. Probably better than bishop to c6 is just d captures on e6. And now this game is like completely lost, because if you capture the bishop, you just allow e captures on f7 and king captures on f7. Yeah, and then now you capture the bishop and the king is now placed on f7. But if you even capture this pawn, which would probably be the best idea, you can even go queen captures here, and you know this bishop is pinned, so the game's probably it's lost for black. But after bishop to c6 and bishop captures, d captures on c6, we see rook to c7. White castles, nice prophylactic castle, because you're just preventing any future attacks on your king in the middle. And black goes bishop to e7, probably wanting to castle himself. White plays knight b to d2. Pretty good move, because now the knight can go to c4, and then maybe even to b6 in the future or something like that. Black castles, and white goes rook to d1 with the threat of knight to c4 and the rook attacking the queen. Black goes queen to c8, just piling up on this pawn. And again, like we said, there's actually no good way to defend this pawn. So white just continues with knight to c4. And we have rook captures on c6. We have knight captures on a5 and rook to a6. Knight goes back to c4 and rook captures on a4. Right here, I hope you all see it. VroomVrew saw it immediately, I'm sure. This was his idea all along. But he goes knight to b6. This forks the rook and the queen. And after he captures the rook, well, after the queen moves, queen to a6, now he just captures the rook, and he's up a whole rook. Because he won the knight before, and now he exchanged his knight for a rook. This is completely winning for white. Even though black has these two connected pawns on the queen side, that is not compensation for the lost rook. Vroom continues rook to a1, and we have queen to d7. Vroom goes rook to a8, forcing a rook trade, which black accepts. And now he goes bishop to f8 to block. Uh, Bishop to f8 is the best idea. Queen to d8 is possible, but now you just traded queens, and the game's even easier for white. So after bishop to d8, we have knight to e5 challenging the queen. Queen to e7, and now rook to d1, with the idea of rook to d8 and then knight to d7, which would put too much pressure on this bishop. We have g6, making room for the king. Vroom plays g3. G3 is probably not like the most accurate move. It's good to make some room on your king side in a position like this, because you don't want to have any back rank issues in the future, because you're so far up in this game, it would feel the worst to lose off of something like that. So yeah, actually, although not the most precise, g3 or h3 are probably moves that I would play as well. And black goes queen to f6. Knight to d7, just threatening checkmate here, and attacking the queen. So the only move is queen to e7 or queen to g7. But instead, black goes queen captures on b2, and Vroom has this quite this nice queen captures on f8 checkmate. And I gotta say, VroomVrew really handed it to UJJ Wall 3899, and I hope you guys enjoyed the game. Yeah, I hope Vroom or other people make it onto this channel, and just keep sending me your games, and I'll keep pumping out these analyses. All right, have a good one, guys.